Okay, moving on. I think it's time now where we got the top half of the ship, and this will be all set for the attaching it to the bottom half. So let's put this aside for a minute, because what I want to focus on right now is we need to, there are some decals that are going to go over here, but we're going to have to wait until the ship is whole. Just like the decals that are going to go around the edges, it's going to be different. So I think what we're going to do now is we can actually think about bringing the parts together and lighting the hull. So we're going to light the hull. And then we're going to actually put all the pieces in. But before we do that, we have to figure out where we're going to put the lights. So when it comes to the hull itself, we've got the small bulbs that are going to light the registry numbers on the top and on the bottom. Okay, what we got to do now is I want to use a flashing light, and we're going to run the fiber optics to make all the beacons. And we're going to use 2 of the frosted lights to actually light the hull, where the bridge area is, as well as the sensor dome. So let's so these are the 3mm, and those are the frosted white. I think the frosted white makes a little bit better sense because it doesn't make as many hot spots. I don't know how many hot spots there are going to be. We did put 2 coats. We've got a coat on the inside, and we've got a coat on the outside. So we're going to need the light, okay, for this area where the dome light and the sensor dome is going to be, so we got the windows there, and we're going to put a light towards the back of the ship, and that's going to light the impulse crystals, as well as back towards the impulse engines and around the landing bay doors. So I'm going to use let's see, this is a 5mm, and this is going to be a blinking light, because there are beacons port, starboard, the front of the hull, the back, and instead of trying to light individual little clear pieces of plastic, I think it's going to be better if we just put the fiber optic to it. Alright, put the power on, and you can see how it blinks. So we're going to run fiber optics through all the points on the outer hull that has the flashing light on it, and they're all blink in unison. Okay, so that's working fine. And we're going to put that somewhere into the ship where we can run the fiber optics, and we're going to wrap it in foil. So when it comes to the light themselves, we're going to put one right over there where the sensor dome and the bridge area is going to be. And we're going to put one back here that's going to light the crystals for the impulse engines, as well as the back engines and the back windows. So I think what we can do, we can think about cutting the wires to make them fit. So let's see, we can figure about half. So we got those leads, and we're going to do the leads for the blinking light as well. And when everything's in place, when all the wires are connected, then we'll go ahead and solder it in place. But until then, we're going to use the clips. So we've got the leads from these. This in. Alright, so for now, let's just double check, because you always got to make sure everything's working. Never take it for granted that they're going to work, because before you know it, you might have them all soldered into place, ready to close up the hull and go to put it on, and it doesn't work. So that's never a good thing. So So let's clamp them. Do the same thing with the negative. Alright. And when we flip the switch, you can see they're all on. And we've got the flashing LED. So, we know they work. We're going to make it so the wire is going to come through the bottom of the ship, the feed, and it's going to be close to where the stand is, because the metal rod is not hollow. So we're going to probably put the lead coming in somewhere around there. So what I want to do is we're going to put the lights. So we need a little something to rest. So we're going to use part of the tree to kind of glue down, and we're going to use it as a little bracket to hold, and we're going to rest the light on that so we can put it so it's going to be right in the middle of the bridge and the sensor dome and light up those windows. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Let's see if this is ready. Just like that. I want to do the same thing. For the back. And we'll give that a minute to set. So you can see we made like a little frame on the inside, and what we're going to do is we're going to glue the light, and hopefully you guys can see how it's going to look. Now we're going to make sure that the top is going to close. We run into the problem when we're not going to be able to close it. Looks like it's going to close. It should be okay. Alright, I want to do the same for the back. And we're going to make sure that we don't put the wrong one, because the flashing bulb is going to go in another part. So this is going to be for the back. For the impulse crystals. Hopefully you guys can see that. And when it comes to this wire can go anywhere, because we're going to run all the fiber optics to it. Okay, so when it comes to lighting the ship, when we put the light on, hopefully you guys can see. Let's see if we can put the see, like I said, this can go anywhere, but we're not going to be able to see the blinking light, so let me let that stick out a little bit. So you can see we're going to have the crystal lit. We've got the windows, and we've got the crystal on the bottom, and we've got the windows on the bottom, and the impulse engines. So that looks pretty good. So I think what we can think about doing now is how we're going to place everything. So the two lights in the hull, that's going to light all the windows, the impulse crystals, as well as the windows along the outer edge, and we're going to drill those later, not now. I think what we should think about doing now is we're actually going to do the lights, the beacons. So there's going to be one at the front, and we got port and starboard. So there's 3 right there. We're going to do 3 as well on the top, and I'm going to do one that's going to run into just behind the bridge. So there's going to be one there as well, and I think that's going to be pretty good what we're going to do. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 for the top. 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we're going to need a total of 7 of the strands of the fiber optic. So I got the fiber optic, and again, this is 0.03, and we're going to need 7. So why don't we go ahead, and because we got enough, we can make them long enough, because it's better to be too long than not long enough. So we got 1, and let's just make sure we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got our 7. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to make sure that they're all even. And we're going to make sure that these don't get broken. Because remember, once they get broken, they're not going to work. Alright, so I just want to be able to show you guys. Let's put the lights back on. And we're going to have these going through the end. And hopefully you guys can see the flashing light. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to cut the ends to make sure that they're all one length. Just like that. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to place the light on one end. Fold it in half with the reflective side, and we're going to put the fiber optics in the other end. And we're going to crimp it into place, and eventually I'm going to just put a little bit of tape on it. But I want to make sure that they're all working before we do that. And you guys can see how cool that's going to look. And again, I'm going to put some tape on the end. Just like that. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, now when we put it on, hopefully you guys can see that. And one in the middle. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to run the fiber optic up through the openings. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to pass them all through now. So let's put this down. You know, at this point, I think it might be a good idea. We can go ahead and actually mount it to the base so we can have everything coming through the bottom. See how it comes out a little bit better on the bottom. So we got one, and this one is going to go over there, so let's get this one. And let's see, we got this one that we can put in on the port side. So we got the 3 in the bottom. All right, so this is eventually how it's going to look. We've got the 4 on the top. We've got the 2 coming out the bottom. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see the ship. We got the lights. Again, the blinking light, we're going to have to light block that so it's not flashing like that. You can see the back, the impulse crystals are going to be. And let's see the bottom. You guys can see that. And we're going to actually have the light, the registry lights as well. There. We can run the wires up through. Alright, so we had to get the wires through for the nacelle pylon. And what we need to do is we're going to run the fiber optic through this part, but we need to bring it up. And this is going to go on this side. Alright, the drill has a chance to recharge. So what we got to do now, let me show you guys. I ran the drill. We put the hole. We ran the wires up for the nacelle, and that's of course to power the chiller grill. Well, for the other side, we got to do the same thing. And like I did on the other side, we're going to put the, kind of click it. You guys remember, we got the fiber optics on the top as well. And let me just go ahead and and we're going to put the hole probably going across, so let's put it right here. So this is how it's going to go. And let's see, more like that. And then we'll be able to, what I'm gonna do is we're gonna touch up that. We're gonna actually paint that when we do the final touch-ups for the ship. So this is on, so let's bring it down, and we're gonna have to think about connecting all the lights now. Just a little bit to tack it into place. Over there. And maybe a little bit up here. So why don't we go ahead and get this through now. So this is going to be the power supply. This is what's going to run down, and it's actually going to go through the base. And the power supply is going to be down, separate from the ship. I thought about ways to actually put the power supply on the ship and in it, and there's just no way. Alright, so let's get these through. That's better. That way there we don't have to light block anything. Alright, so we got the wires coming in. Actually, I'm going to get this out of here for now. We almost forgot about this. This is one of the most important things of the model. This is actually the LED that's flickering. This is going to make all the damage come to life. We'll put these onto the power supply first. And when it comes to putting the lights in, remember, it's all about contact. So we got those negatives. Let's put on these. And again, it's all about contact. Everything has to make contact. If there's no contact, the lights won't work. Now, you figure, well, that's pretty obvious, but, sometimes when you're working in a mess like this, and there's so much going on, you tend to forget. sometimes you forget a wire, or when you spool a lot of wires together, sometimes it moves down. It doesn't make the contact that it needs. Okay, so the last section of the positives. Okay, so I think what we can do now is we'll take the bottom and we're going to hook it up to the power supply, and we're going to make sure that everything's working that needs to work. Alright, let's try that. So we got the blinking light. We got all the beacons that are lit. We've got the inner chiller grill to the nacelle. We've got the lights that are going to light up the windows. Let's see, do we have the battle damage? Yep, we got the battle damage light going on. So that's looking pretty good. I think the only thing we're going to have to do is we got to think about doing the make sure this doesn't. We got to do the lights for the registry mark. I think for now that's looking pretty good. What I need to do, we'll put some flux on all of the connections. Alright guys, I think we got all the lights operating and we got everything that's looking pretty good. There. Hopefully you guys can see the damage. And the damage on a damaged nacelle as well. Okay, so a little bit of an update. I finally got the top closed, but what an ordeal that was. And I hooked up the lights to make sure everything was working again. And we're going to clamp it. This in the front. There. And that should close it up all the way around. And on the final assembly, when we put the decals on, we'll put a little bit more glue in the back. You can see the beacons. It looks like one of the beacons. Pretty dim. But remember, we're going to cut all of the beacons down to the deck. Once I unclamp it, I just want to make sure. So you can see a little bit of the lights on the inside. And you can see the impulse crystal. Let me turn the ship around for you. You can see the registry on top and the registry on the bottom. You can see the windows. And remember, nothing, the nacelles or anything, nothing is really permanently glued into place or glued at all. So you guys can see the damage that's on the torpedo launcher, the photon torpedo launcher. That actually looks pretty cool. And again, we're going to close the ends up. We'll clamp it when we put the final assembly. Maybe a little bit of putty. You can see the crystal underneath, as well as the chiller grill on a nacelle, and you can see the damage to the nacelle. And of course, we're going to glue that into position, and we're going to hot glue it, and we're going to detail it. And again, we're going to put some of the damage into the shuttle bays. A little bit of scorch marks on the back. And let me see if I can bring it around, show you guys the port side. And again, check out the battle damage, the chiller grill, and the registry markings underneath. And it'll look better once we cut the beacon lights. Once we do that, the beacon lights should look a lot more normal, because the flashing part will be right at deck level, so it'll look a little bit better, like it's supposed to. Going around again, we got the damage. I'm glad that I ended up doing that with the fiber optics. I think it looks pretty cool. And again, we got the damage on top, and you can see we've got the crystal, the impulse crystal, and the damage with the Enterprise blowing apart her photon torpedo launcher, and that shot. Let me see if I can get that shot like it looks in the picture. And remember, we still got to do the final assembly, guys. This isn't done. All I did was put the half on and get it into position where we can permanently glue it. I permanently glued the front, and we'll do the back in the next video, because we have to permanently glue the nacelles on, and because there's still a couple of decals that we need to put on the sides before we put the nacelles on. But my friends, well, she's starting to come together, and this is the U.S.S. Reliant. And I think in the next video should pretty much be the final assembly. So my friends, again, I thank you so much for watching and for all the kind words, and I'll talk to you soon.